Hi everyone. I'm Amber.
I'm Paul.
We can't even get the intro done.
We live full-time in our Airstream Flying Cloud 30 FB bunk. Our 2019 Airstream Flying.
We were distracted by the dog. That's all it takes. 1 second. And we live full-time in our 30 FB Airstream Flying Cloud.
Man, you can't even see it.
Okay, let's start over. I'm Amber.
I'm Paul.
And we live full-time in our 2019 Airstream Flying Cloud 30 FB. Got it. We have been living full-time in an RV for a total of 5 years now.
Yeah.
Seems longer, but sometimes it doesn't seem like it's been that long. So we started out in a 37-foot Holiday Rambler motorhome.
And then we went to a 44-foot Heartland Cyclone Toyota.
And then a 39-foot Bay Hill fifth wheel.
And the last and final, the one we love the most, is the Airstream.
We love our Airstream. This video is going to be a little bit different than any of our other videos. We wanted our viewers to get to know us a little bit better. So in honor of Valentine's Day and the Love Month, we thought that we would do a video and tell you how we met 18 years ago, fell in love, and blended our 7 children together into one family. So I didn't get to know my birth mom until I was an adult. I was divorced at the time. I had 3 small children, and she lived in another city and happened to live across the street from this guy.
I was also divorced with 4 kids, but only had 2 of them living with me at the time.
We had a lot of kids together, 7.
All together.
So I had been down to visit my birth mom a few times and had never met Paul, but on one particular visit, my boys were bored and they saw a basketball hoop in Paul's yard across the street and asked my birth mom if they could go over there and play basketball. Well, her and her husband were friends with Paul, and so she called over there and asked him, and he said, yeah, that's fine. But I was like, I don't know him. I don't know if he's a psycho. I have no idea. I'm not letting my kids go over there until I meet him. So she went across the street and introduced me. And I'm just going to tell you that he had the sweetest, most kindest, most calm smile. And I just instantly really liked that about this person that I had just met. He was up on a 4-wheeler. He was taking his little girl on a 4-wheeler for rides, and he just looked so nice, and I loved that he was a father and was doing things with his child, and I liked the fact that he had custody of his children, which means that, you know, he wasn't trying to get out of his responsibilities, that he wanted his children and have them. And I just really admired that because I felt like I was in the same boat.
Kids mean everything to me.
Yes, and you could see that right away, and I just really admired that about him. He was a working single dad and I was a working single mom, and I think I just kind of connected with him on that level. We clicked in that way. We had that in common. So after we met that weekend, we didn't really do any more talking. I realized, you know, I felt like he was okay. I could see my kids across the street playing. And so I just went about my visit with my birth mom. And then we left and I went back to where I lived in another city. But we did exchange some contact information, and we did a lot of emailing.
We even printed all the emails, and we still have them.
And we have them in a notebook. Yeah, we kept all of our correspondence. And let me tell you something. Until I saw how slow he typed, when I saw how slow he typed with this, I was like, oh my God, he must love me, because he would send me this paragraph, which I knew probably took him 2 hours to do. And I was like, he likes me, okay? But anyway, we would write poems. We were very interested in each other, and that's really the only way we could do it. And he even, after several times of coming back and forth and visiting with each other on the weekends or every other week whenever we could, it became kind of expensive to dial long distance and to talk to each other on the phone, and so we would email, but he worked during the day, didn't have access to email, and I could only email when I was at home, and so our communication was very scattered and not as much as we wanted it to be, I guess is what I should say. And so I don't know if it was a few months later.
Don't forget, I also bought you a cell phone.
That's what I was fixing to say. So several months later, you remember those Nextel walkie-talkie phones? I don't know if they still have them, but back then they did. And they had great service. And so I could be driving, I could be anywhere, and we would just walkie-talkie even in different cities. And that was so much cheaper than the long distance we were paying to try to call each other back and forth. So I felt really confident in our relationship at that point when he bought me a cell phone. So we were definitely able to communicate better and more often. So during the weekends that I would come down and we would visit, Paul lived out in the country, and so we would go four-wheeling.
I'd get her soaked with mud.
And mud. He'd put me on the back and we would go back on the trails, and I would come back with literally like 10 pounds of mud in my hair. But it was so fun. We had so much fun. If one of the kids had a birthday, we would do the birthday party when we were together, and we would all be together, you know, letting our kids get to know each other. And we had so much fun. And I remember, gosh, we hadn't even been visiting each other that long. And my little daughter, a lot of you know her if you've watched other videos, but we were sitting out, he had a long porch, and we were sitting out on the porch in chairs, and she climbed up into his lap, hugged his neck, and proceeded to ask him if we could move in. Which was, I just said, excuse me, and I got up and walked out and was mortified, guys. I was mortified. Yeah, that was a little uncomfortable.
But before school started again after the summer, guess what? They moved in with me.
I moved down. Yeah, because we knew that we really liked each other a lot, and I had just fallen in love with his kindness and the person that he was. And you know, a lot of his friends would come over and they would be asking for help, and he knew how to fix anything. And I don't know, as a man, I respected him. As a person, I respected him. And I just knew in my gut that this was the person for me. That's all I can say. Sometimes that happens, and it definitely happened when I met Paul. So we came down and moved in and started the crazy farm with 7 children. Yeah.
It was hard at sometimes, but we got through it and we made it and we worked it out. And
yes.
We're all happy.
Yes. So exactly 1 year later from the first date that we had, we got married in the hill country. My dad and stepmom.
And let me tell you, at first when we talked about marriage, she did not want to get married again. It took me forever, and I finally talked her into it. And I went down on my knees and asked her in front of all the kids.
Yes, he did. Oh, that's going to make me cry remembering that. Oh. Best decision of my life, because honestly, this guy is my rock in life. And I remember... I remember the first time we met, he had never heard that expression, and I said, and this was like the highest compliment that I could pay him at the time in my mind. It's the way that my words came out. I said, babe, you are my rock. And he was like, what? It was like he didn't understand, and he almost was like, well, what does that mean? Like I don't know if he thought it was like, I don't know what he thought, but to me it was an extreme compliment. And once I explained it to him, he's like, oh, okay. That was kind of funny. But you know, when we had our first date, which is the first time I came back after we had met initially with the kids wanting to play basketball, we went out to a country and western club. Well, my dad taught me how to two-step and country dance from, I don't know, I was in preschool. And so to go there, and especially when we had our first dance together and we just danced together, I mean, it was like, I'm home. I'm just home with him, and loved it.
Yeah, we danced, sat at the table, talked.
For hours.
I think we stayed there into the closing time.
Yeah, not drinking really, just talking. And that loud, it was so loud. We sat really close together and we just spilled our hearts out, really. It was our first date, but we just talked about, you know, the hard times that we had and what we wanted for our future and our children, and realized that they just looked exactly, the picture of what we both wanted looked exactly the same. So, and we have been together since, and our kids are all grown now, and they're all very close, and they all very much love each other, and we have wonderful children, the 7, and we just really in each other completed our family and just made everyone whole again, which is what we were missing. We had that complete family structure, and then we did something crazy.
And when all the kids moved out of the house, we turned around and sold the house and bought our first RV. Well, actually, we bought our first RV before we moved out, and then one day she said, "Why are we living here?"
Yeah.
You know, we got a 2-story house, all the bedrooms upstairs.
Empty.
I get tired of going upstairs. So,
yeah. And we knew that probably wasn't the place, because we didn't need that big house for retirement later, or just with the 2 of us. And so we knew that would not be our forever home. And so we're like, let's just take some time and do some full-time RVing. And I realized there's so many of you out there. There's just a different community we never knew. And we got so excited. We remodeled that motorhome from front to end and had the best time in it, and never regretted our decision. We hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe and click on the bell so that you see all of our future videos coming up, and we can share our Airstream travels and our full-time Airstream living with you. And if you want to tell us how you and your person met that you're full-time RVing with, please leave a comment below. We would love to hear your story as well.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And see you down the road.